How are we online? Live on Zoom and Facebook? All right, hey Zoom. Good morning, folks. Welcome to Coffee at 10 on this beautiful morning in northern Michigan. We have a few folks with us in person. I can't blame those who have decided to go for their morning walk and tune in via Zoom or Facebook. It's a beautiful day to be outside. I'm really excited about today's program. And I'd like to just do my usual morning announcements first. So thank you for being here, whether that's in person or online or you're catching it after the fact. Coffee at 10 is a program Crooked Tree Art Center runs Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. here in Petoskey. Traverse City location also runs a Coffee at 10 series, so be sure to check that out as well. Our program here in Petoskey is made possible thanks to Crooked Tree Art Center members. So a big thank you to our members. If you are not yet a member and would like to know more, you can see Bobby at the front desk, and he's happy to answer your questions and help you out. Our Coffee at 10 series is also made possible thanks to Roast and Toast. So I can see some coffee cups. It looks like people have found the coffee and pastries this morning. So a big thank you to them for making this a wonderful event every week. And now for today's program. So we like to try to make connections between our Coffee at 10 guests and the programming that we have going on in our exhibition spaces. Right now, we have the 2023 Youth Art Show on display. It's a real highlight and something that we all look forward to every year. We have over 1,000 original works of art by young artists working throughout the Charlevoix and Emmett County ISD. And it's just a real treat to see our school groups come through and all of this amazing work from K-12 artists. Because we do that every year, we have also decided to expand that programming to really recognize the importance of art education and recognize that programming and that creative work at multiple levels. So for a number of years, we've also been partnering with the North Central Michigan College on an exhibition featuring work by current students in the program. So their show is on display right now. It is down in our atrium gallery and it is on display through Saturday. So if you haven't had a chance to check that show out in person, please do so. It's really a phenomenal display with a diverse work and a lot of different media, really creative work from our students here in the region. So I really encourage you to come check it out. And to tell us a little bit more about that project and about what's going on at the community college, we have our group of panelists here today. And first, why don't we all just say thank you for being here. Now, instead of introducing all of our guests, I'm going to pass the microphone to them so they can all let us know who they are and what their connection to the program is. And then today's event is really going to be an open conversation Q&A. I have a series of prompts, and Morningstar is hiding out in the back somewhere, and she's going to facilitate that conversation a bit as well. But we're really hoping to hear some Q&A and feedback from our students who are in our front row here, and you as well. So if you have questions as we go, please feel free to just pipe on in. You can raise your hand or speak out if it feels appropriate. Those of you tuning in online, we've got Alyssa manning the computer, and she'll be keeping an eye out for any of your questions through the Q&A or through the chat. So with that, who wants to start? I guess I better make Ann start with the welcome and hello. So I'm going to pass her the mic. Hello, thank you very much. And so we are very excited to be here today. We have a lot of things we would love to talk about. So we're going to try to jam pack it all into this time frame. My name is Ann Morningstar. I'm the full-time art design faculty at North Central. And I'm joined by today 5 other faculty who teach in our area. We are missing 1. And so there are 7 of us total, I believe. Or 6 of us.
6 of us total.
6 of us total, sorry, I'm counting, yes. And so that's who I am.
I'm Lynn Denning. I have a big outdoor voice, so I'm gonna hold the mic down. I teach the glass arts courses. We have 5 levels of glass arts courses. And we have a merry band that we call Glassmates. Love it.
I am Kermit. I just started as one of the digital arts faculty members, and I've been teaching some of our graphics courses and upcoming game design courses that we have.
Hi, good morning. My name is Egan Franks Holzhausen. I teach both painting and drawing up at the college as an adjunct. It's a whole lot of fun.
Good morning, my name is Steve Stufto. I am teaching ceramics over at North Central Teaching College and enjoying it quite well. Very proud of everyone there.
Well, I'll just go ahead and do this way. And we are now going to have the students introduce themselves, and so they are going to tell you what year they are and or the class or classes that they are enrolled in, or any programs that they are currently enrolled in. So whatever combination they're within.
Hello, my name is Grace Elton, and I'm in my third semester of glass class, so I'm one of the classmates. It's been a blast. We have an amazing teacher who really knows the topic inside and out, and we also learn a lot from each other, so it's been a lot of fun.
Good morning, I'm Linda DeCamp. I am finishing my second year as a glassmate in Survey of Glass Arts with Lynn Denning. I'm actually an accountant by background, so being an artist is a really new experience for me, and I have learned so much, and I just love it.
Hello, my name is Abby Belsky. This is the end of my second year at NUPMUC, and I have one more. I'm in ceramics and portfolio development, and I love both of them. And I plan on taking even more art classes next year.
Hi, my name is Emily Belsky. I am a fine craft and art student at NCMC, finishing up my last semester, and I will graduate. I love all the art classes I've taken some jewelry classes. I'm now an advanced jewelry student, ceramics, and some other art classes, and I can't say how much I love them in words. They're amazing.
I'm Heidi Finley, and I'm in my second year of glass working with Lynn Denning. I am an established artist. I'm a painter, I draw, and for the last dozen years or so, I've been totally absorbed in a craft called Turkish marbling, but I needed to kind of get out of my space a little bit, and so I take the glass class for enrichment.
Hi, I'm Terry Crandall, and I'm finishing my first year. I'm taking the glass class and pottery, and thoroughly enjoying both of them. I just feel so lucky that we have the classes that are available at the community college here in Petoskey.
Hi, I'm Lily Danks. I'm actually a transplant to Petoskey. I'm originally from the greater Grand Rapids area. I'm taking the digital art classes for the graphic arts program as well as a business program. So I've been really enjoying that and enjoying Petoskey.
And we'll just help each other.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. This is a little bit more to our back row here first. And let us know how many faculty you have on staff. I am wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about the program in general, as in about how many students are engaging in that program, and tell us a little bit about our program certificate.
Okay, yes, I can definitely do that. And I'm just gonna kind of stand here. I think that's more comfortable for us faculty to stand. Oh gosh, the number of students that we have on any given semester can really vary. Because it depends on the number of classes, but as far as the course catalog goes, we have about 56 art and design classes in the catalog. How many are offered each semester really depends on who we have available to be teaching those classes. But as far as the number of students each semester, we are anywhere between 60 and 120, I would say, on a given semester, sometimes more and sometimes less. But we've really been seeing that enrollment number jump since the pandemic started. So, and through the pandemic really. And so there was actually a really big influx as far as the art design demand from the community, which was really exciting for us. We have currently a few certificates and certificates of development. And so what a certificate of development is, I'll kind of define those for you a little bit. it is technically a 16 credit program. And so theoretically, a student could complete it if they were going full-time in one semester. A lot of times students will spread that out just so that they can focus, or a lot of our students are working students. And so we do a really good job at our institution of working with students with those schedules and making it really as accessible as possible. So these certificate programs are then about double what a certificate of development is. So we have this really nice laddering system that can happen between these different programs. And so the certificate level is typically 30 credits thereabout. And then we are currently, I was going to say this till the end, but I'll go ahead since it kind of ties in better. We are tomorrow presenting to the college's curriculum development committee an associate of applied science. We are taking an associate level degree to our curriculum team, hopefully to be approved, which would then give us our first ever associate degree, which is the highest level degree that North Central offers in art and design. And so that is very exciting for us. It's really going to start to pave the way, and hopefully we can have a few other associate degrees to follow it, within the next several years. We'll see how it goes. So a team of us have been working really hard on that degree, and we're very excited about that. So some of the areas of focus that we have are studio and fine craft. So studio art and fine craft, that side of things. And then we also have graphic arts and animation as well. And so those are some of the degrees we currently offer, some of those certificate programs. So I think that answers everything. Yeah. Cool. And so what I would like to do now is kind of shift the focus from this back row and go to the front row again. And so I actually just have a question, and maybe one or two or three of you could answer this. I don't really care who. But if you could, I think everyone is always interested to understand what the frame of mind is for a student and why you're taking classes and where that direction is going. And so a question that I have for all of you is, why is it that you create? I can hand this to you, but don't feel obligated if you want to.
So I started out with a lot of graphic design courses down in my high school in Grand Rapids. So at a huge school, so we were offered a lot of those kind of specialized classes. So I grew a lot starting with my sophomore year in high school, taking these graphics classes, and my teacher there was super inspiring, which has been awesome, translating to taking classes from both Anne and Kermit.
I just have this innate need to create things. I always have. I put it away for a long time when I was raising my family. And now that my children are grown and I'm not working, I can spend as much time as I want creating. I really love that.
And I've been creating all my life. I can't imagine not creating, period.
Well, during the pandemic, I would say I didn't really have any hobbies, and then I slowly realized I needed to find something to do other than just homework. So I found crocheting and fiber arts, and that changed everything, and it inspired me to want to take art classes at the college level, and it really changed everything. And I just feel like I have to create to be happy.
I'm sort of similar. I started crocheting during the pandemic. And before, I kind of always thought I wasn't a good artist because I wasn't like a typical artist, like I couldn't draw. But then when I found crochet, and then now that I'm in ceramics class, I think I just found what I'm best at and what I'm most comfortable in. And that has made me feel like an artist and more confident within what I can create.
I spent my entire working career living under somebody else's rules as an accountant. I never got to create much of anything. So my goal for taking the class was, one, to expand my horizons into thinking for myself outside the box and doing something new. And the other real important part to me is because we have moved here recently from downstate, was to meet people, to establish friendships with people that I shared a common interest with.
I can't say that I've ever been driven to create, but I've always loved art. Even when I was in high school, my best friend and I used to go to the Flint Art Institute every time we had a new show. And how many high school kids do that, you know? And then over the years, I've had the pleasure of a lot of travel. And my first place to always want to go to is the art museum, wherever I am. So I've always loved art, although I can't say I've always been driven to create, although the class has been tremendous fun.
So thank you very much for outlining those things. I'm going to kind of jump back on a few of the things that you all sort of mentioned, which is this idea that, you know, oh, like I kind of found this and it's something I just really enjoy doing. And I think that that's great and wonderful. I'm kind of curious if you could dig a little deeper and explain to us maybe where that inspiration to create comes from specifically. And I don't know who wants to speak to that first, but.
I can start. I think I've always felt like I wanted to create something. I like to give things to people. So like being able to make something for someone else that I'm like proud of and I think is like beautiful or nice is always something I've loved to do. And with crochet and ceramics, that's been able to go through that. And I just find the most comfort in that.
I really have personally found that inspiration comes from everywhere. So I'm constantly inspired by things like I was looking around at like the stained glass windows and I was like, oh my God, the colors are so beautiful. Or I just like, I work as a gardener, so I take a lot of inspiration from nature as well. And yeah, I'm a very big color person. I love color. I love designing with color. I feel limited if I can't work with color. And so that's really where my inspiration comes from. And the need to create, I just have ideas that pop into my mind at like the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta remember that. And it's that all the time I'm inspired. I always want to create something. I have like 15 things that I want to create at one time. And it's just a matter of figuring out how I can get it all done.
I look to nature for a lot of my inspiration. Trees, rocks, the water, everything. I see the color, I see the texture, and like Emily, I just am always thinking about things. Oh, how can I make that? How could I do that? So I think just observing surroundings is a big influence.
So in this world, I think that we all sort of can agree that we are surrounded by this idea of immediacy. Things need to be happening right this second, and we always need to be connected. And there's sort of this sense about how, at least in the American culture, how we're always expected. There's this expectation to participate in this way. And if you're not doing that, then maybe there's something wrong. Can you maybe speak to this idea of immediacy within your art or lack thereof, and maybe how you see providing the world with your creations when there are these other expectations in the outside world? So maybe this idea of in the studio versus when you leave the studio and how that process carries through. Yeah, I'm really digging in here.
Yeah.
So one of the things that has become really critical in understanding working with glass is patience. Many projects require multiple firings. So the time period from conception and planning and building it to have a finished project can often be much longer than you would expect. And I've also learned that hurrying that process is a recipe for disaster. And it's difficult because so many things in our lives come on timelines. So if you are doing an art project on a timeline, you need to plan carefully for how that's going to process, or maybe you need to adjust your project.
I'm not sure I'm answering Ann's question, but one of the things I truly like about the class is all the talent in the class. We have 18-year-olds and we have 72-year-olds like me, and but the talent is amazing. And so you walk around and you see what everyone else is doing. They give you suggestions for your own piece, which I can always use. And it just, I don't know, it's a very creative and helpful process. We're constantly helping each other, and I love that.
Kind of going off of that, whenever I'm in ceramics, which is the only like physical art class I'm in right now, nobody ever like tears you down. Everyone always builds you up, even if you're not confident in what you made. They're like, oh, it's so beautiful, and then it makes you think that, oh, maybe it is. So I think it's just really nice, like for mental health too, because everyone's just so nice to each other and accepting.
As far as like feeling a rush, I think the rushing that I feel is having to have my whole life figured out. Like, where are you going to school? Are you getting a job after you graduate? And it's kind of, I know a lot of it is meant with the best intentions, but it does put pressure on you to have your whole life figured out. And a 21-year-old's never going to have their whole life figured out. I'm 21, but sometimes I feel like I'm 12. So it's just like, I have no idea. I'm not limiting myself to having only one plan, because I don't think that's going to be helpful for me or my future or my success. And so that's where I feel the immediacy within my life. But in art, I feel having to rush when things aren't working out right. So right now I'm taking a little break from crocheting because I'm mad at my project. My granny squares just aren't going together right. So I'm just like walking away from it. And I probably will start a new project without finishing that one first. But it's okay, because I'll come back to it and I'll have some granny squares already made. But yeah, I think the concept of rushing is not a bad thing, but it's not always a thing that ends in something productive.
I love that we have lots of open studio time where we can go in and we can continue to work on our projects outside of our class hours. And I find that I take advantage of those hours, whether it's the ceramics or the glass, and can really put my head down and work on a project and not be confined to the 3 hours of the class time and like, oh, I gotta get this done. And if I don't have a design idea right away, that's okay. I'll think about it, and then I can come back during open studio and or at home, think about it, and then come back with a fresh idea.
So one thing that's a little bit different about me is I do a lot of digital art. So my art is contained on a 9x13 laptop. I can take it anywhere. So if I ever have inspiration strike me, I can immediately pull that up. I can draw something out. I can get it set up. So that sense of like everything I do is connected to the internet in some way. So I can almost immediately post it, share it, do kind of whatever I need with it. That can be a little bit quicker than these more traditional types of like physical art, which is very interesting. And a lot of people want to put a faster timeline on it. Because, oh, it's something on the computer, it's fast, it's easy, it's automated. And a lot of it is not automated. We do it by hand. It's on the screen as opposed to something you can hold with your hand.
All of that are perfect segues into my next question, which is a lot of people maybe have only taken one art class when they were in school. Maybe they only had art classes through high school and not in their continuing education. Can maybe you speak to what is it like to be an art student? And I think a couple of people already are kind of give a little bit of a guideline here. A few of you have already kind of spoken to the other students in the class and how that sort of helps to drive you as well. So yeah, so what does it mean to you, and what is it you would want somebody who's maybe never had that journey themselves, what do you want them to know what it's like to be an art student?
So one thing a lot of people think of when you think of art class, you think it's an elective, you think it's like a fun class, which it definitely is. also think it's it's an easy class. It's something I can spend an hour drawing and then I'm done. But I think most of us can speak to that. We're spending 10, 20, 30 hours on a project just because it takes, so they're so demanding that a lot of people that are taking some of your more traditional pathways in business and things like that, they don't see these as very demanding, challenging, and time-consuming classes. What is it like to take an art class? Because I forget that not everybody knows that, right? Again, I'm an artist through and through all my life. So if you're considering taking an art class, it is literally a blank canvas. I think it stimulates you to delve into who you are and what you're made of, and all of what you see and do, and take that in and then spit it back out in the form of a piece of art.
Well, I started out at NCMC as an environmental science person. I thought I was gonna be working as a scientist and an environmentalist. Then I realized I didn't want to do that anymore, so then I switched to business. I really didn't like that. Quickly dropped a class that hadn't even started yet into jewelry making about a year and a half ago, I think it was, and it changed everything. So then I immediately started looking at degrees and stuff that I could switch into art, then got into the fine craft certificate program. And it really is game changing. I didn't take art classes in high school. I was told they were full. So I took classes like accounting and stuff like that. Didn't like it, but I'm a perfectionist, so I got an A. But it wasn't fun for me. And I think if at all anybody's ever curious to take an art class, I don't know why you wouldn't just try. It's not about always being a perfect artist or a perfect person. Ceramics has challenged me because I am a perfectionist, and it's taken away the pressure because it's not going to always be symmetrical, or your lines aren't going to be straight. But then in jewelry class, I can use my perfectionism in a way that is great for the piece. I can file and sand a ring until it's absolutely perfect. You don't see any solder lines, you don't see any flaws. And so I think you can find your way in art no matter how you think or how you learn.
So in high school, I took 4 years of art class. It was a small, very small little high school, but I had a great art teacher and I loved it. But I decided that wasn't going to be a career for me. I wasn't great at art by any means. And in college, I took history of art classes. I took 4 semesters in history of art. Again, always loved art, but being very practical. I went on to be a physician. I was a professor at University of Michigan in medical school for almost 40 years. So really only enjoyed other people's art. But I'm having lots of fun learning. And it's like a new language. When I did my first class, I came home and I said, I have no idea what they were even talking about. But it was fun. And so I learned a lot.
So I'm cutting in on this because I come from the very unique place of the fact that I was among our front row students here way back in the day. I was an art student. I was one of the band's first generation of students, and then I went on and in a bachelor's degree in I went to thank you, Andrew. I went to Ferris State and got a bachelor's in applied science for digital animation and game design. Obviously, back then, here we did a lot of, it was very traditional centric, but a lot of those skills that I learned even in traditional mediums or the original hand-drawn sort of style of animation all transfer one-to-one as far as skills that we use on software that was only developed a year ago, and a lot of new modern techniques that we're using for all sorts of other things like flight simulators and advertising and things like that. So being an art student really is the grandest sort of eye-opening experience in how art does touch every facet of our lives.
I want to come back to a comment from one of the folks in the front row. Ann Morningstar teaches a course called The Business of Art, because many years ago, we realized that, and I had that experience, I got booted out of college, you know, I mean, when I graduated, not booted out, but when I graduated, they hadn't taught me anything about the business of art, because if you're an artist, you are a sole proprietor of your business. And those things are very important for our students to know about, as well as learning about STEM in the arts, because there isn't any successful art, any art, digital art is reliant on technology. But we try to make sure our students have avenues where when they do graduate, or if they're taking it for personal interest, they go out into the world. And they are well prepared in all of those areas to be sole proprietor of their own business, as well as understanding the science, you know, the STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, that is in the arts and the creative processes. So it's all encompassing.
So I'm also gonna piggyback on this, I'm really excited when I talk about this, so I'm probably gonna get really passionate really quickly. And so I think that what's really unique is, yes, I currently teach the business of art, but Lynn has taught that. I would argue that any one of us up here can teach the business of art to our students. And the reason why is because each of us in the back row have been art students in some way or another. We all have varying degrees in the field. And I think what really sets us apart at our institution is that we are, and I always say this to prospective students, and I've said it to us in meetings before, is that I would say we are the most dynamic art department in the state, as far as community colleges go. And that's not to be like, we're better than everyone, but I think that just as far as the breadth of knowledge in this back row, because of things like what Lynn just said, I never had a business of art class that I was able to take. It was never offered. And I would venture to say nobody else did either, but all of us found our way through understanding how to operate as a soloist, as somebody who sort of learns what do you do once you have accomplished the ultimate studentism, which is a degree. And I think that what we then are able to provide to our students in the classroom is just that. And so the way that each of us approaches the classroom is more from a standpoint of art direction, I would say, almost like executive director level, where we're looking at our students not just as students, but they are the young talent who has entered into the studio, and we sort of give them the prompts as if we were given the prompts as the art director. We're then giving it to them, helping them through that process, trying to provide a sense within the classroom of, you know, this is one giant collaboration. We are a team, and it's not even just to say that within that class you have that, but also from class to class. So there's also this conversation, not to go on too many tangents, but I will, because it's me. But I think that what is also really fascinating, what makes us truly a dynamic department in general, is the fact that there is no division between fine art and design at our institution. And I know for me personally, I was at an institution where it was like you had the fine artists and you had the designers. And it wasn't really the students who felt that division, it was really the faculty, where you would hear a lot of times there were some conversations and things, and as a student, you're like, oh, why? I don't understand why. But there's this sort of unspoken idea that like, oh, you're an artist, so you're a starving artist. In that same sort of breath, there's this, you know, oh, you're a fine artist, or you're a designer. And like, what does that mean? And honestly, you can't have one without the other. And I think that when it really comes down to it, what we're doing at our institution and in our department is we are having this interconnected relationship, not just with the medium and the materials, but also with the subject matter and the overall curriculum. But then on top of that, back to the business of art and portfolio development and this idea of putting yourself out there and how to do that. You have this entire sense when you are at North Central in our area that there is just something there, and you can't quite put your finger on it, and you don't know, oh, this is such a tiny studio you guys have, how can you generate that many pieces out of that number of kilns? It's not enough, Lynn, how do you do that? And Steve, I know he just walked out. But yeah, I think that, so what I'll sort of say now is, I don't know if you want to kind of go down the line so I can get off my soapbox here, but I don't know if any of the other faculty want to kind of speak to that too.
Yeah, just to piggyback and be a little echo chamber, I definitely feel that sort of inclusivity, right, and the community-based kind of department that we're in. Because I too have been an art student in different institutions, and you sort of feel that separate kind of field, but I know I've had students here at NCMC that are taking ceramics, right, or are in portfolio development and are trying out the whole animation realm and are just sort of getting their toes wet in a lot of the different sort of courses that we offer. Which makes it really exciting for me as an instructor, right? Because I'm seeing the students who are really have that fire lit under them to sort of go and keep creating and sort of learn new things and continue that education, but continue that process of work ethic as well too, which I think is super important. And I know it was mentioned up front too, that like there's different approaches to taking an art class, right? And as an instructor, I see all those folks come through, right? Where I see the really passionate people who are yearning for that learn and yearning to be better artists. And then I see the folks who, unfortunately, they take it as sort of that elective approach. But as an instructor, I know that I am always encouraging this aspect of keep making, keep practicing. We have a sketchbook requirements each week where you got to fill that sketchbook because I knock it on folks' head all the time is you can't be a better artist unless you keep making things and keep at it. And it's not a going through the motions kind of thing. So it's really encouraging to see sort of those little wins come out each semester because, like it's been mentioned, there's that passion that you sort of get in this really small sort of town and sort of I call it the Tri-City area. But yeah, you sort of have those folks come through that otherwise you're not getting that sort of big city kind of feel, but there's that passion of the arts, which is really cool to be a part of.
I just want to comment a little bit about being a student and the process of making art. I find that as I'm getting older in my art that my life and my artwork the line is kind of blurring a lot, and it's hard to define what is what. And as an art student, I remember finally getting a chance to an opportunity to fit in something. We're so as artists, we're kind of alienated from the normal path of going to school and getting a degree, and with this degree getting an assured job when you get out. You're kind of taking a risk from the very beginning, and it's just so comforting to have a department that will support you with instructors that have the knowledge and give you ideas to continue on. Whether or not they're right or wrong for you at the moment, that's your own life that you're going to choose. But it's so satisfying to have that opportunity to feel welcome in a place like North Central Michigan College, where you have that support system and you're not just an outcast or someone that is never going to make it. You actually have a great support system and an opportunity to make your life an adventure, your art piece that you want. And it's just so refreshing to have that here. and to have this opportunity along with Crooked Tree Art Center. This is such a great community that supports artists. And I hear so many times from people outside our community, they wish they had a system like this at their, they wish they had Crooked Tree Art Center. They wish they had a ceramic program at their community college. They don't have that. You know, they don't have glass. We have, for a small town that we have quite a lot and a great support team here to help artists out in our community, which is very rare, and it's so refreshing to have that here. And all of you are making this possible. Without every one of you guys, even you guys sitting in the back rows there, are all part of this. And it's just amazing that we are all here able to share this with each other, and hopefully inspire others to carry on the torch. I kind of feel like going to North Central Michigan as a student in any art school, as students, kind of like going to Hogwarts College or wizardry. You know, you're learning these different techniques to go on and to create, and the ultimate end is becoming a wizard yourself, or you know, some kind of a sorcerer or whatever, to making art. And whether or not you're making a living doing that, that's another story, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the end product of it. A lot of us are just doing this for enriching our lives, and we can't stop doing it. So it's just a matter of choosing another path to do. But it's just, that's all I want to really say about this, is it's a wonderful experience. And if you are even have the slightest, you know, intuition to go into it, just go for it. You'll be amazed at what it's going to open up your eyes and where it will lead to. That's all.
All right, so I just want to add one thing to what Stephen was saying. Those community members who are part of the classes that we offer, if you're intimidated by thinking you need to sign up for a course and then have to struggle and worry about a grade, there's a thing called auditing the course. You don't have to sign up for the class and have to work for a grade. You can audit the course. Plus, we piggyback the various levels, which is why we get some really great interaction. So you may have your beginning students in the same space at the same time with your advanced students. And the exchange of ideas, as some of our front row folks have mentioned, is pretty nifty. And if you need advice on Einstein Shop, by the first year students saying, well, can I do this? And I, as an experienced person, will say, nah, and they'll go ahead and do it anyway, and it works. So I learned something, the advanced students learned something. It's a real dynamic mix at our college, and that's partly what makes it so wonderful.
Yeah, and so I think really what all of us are sort of pointing to, including the current students, is that we're all still students. And I think that that's true probably for everybody who joined today. I mean, you're currently sitting there thinking, oh, it'd be really interesting to hear what these students have to say. But you're interested in art education in some way or another, or else you wouldn't be sitting in the audience today. So I am going to go ahead and open it up to see if there are any questions from anyone in the audience. And I know there are a couple who are current or previous students as well, so maybe you have a specific question from here today. Yes, Andy.
So I came to the program, graduated last year, 30 years after high school. One of the main things I always thought back was myself. And that's the one thing Ann got out of me more than probably any teacher I ever had, was to realize it's okay to fall down sometimes. Every picture didn't have to be perfect, but to really push myself as a creative to be better, see things differently, and to not worry so much about what I can't do and realize. So I guess my question is to the students is, these classes you've taken with these very good teachers, what's the one thing you take away from learning about yourself?
What is the one thing that you have learned that, wait, one more time. What is the one thing you've learned?
Through class, the classes you've taken with expression that you guys have created, what's the thing that you take away the most that you learn about yourself?
Yes, that you learn about yourself, that was the key that
It's a loaded question.
I've learned that with friends and support, my own ideas and other ideas combined, that I can be more as part of a group than I can be alone.
For me, I would say that I can actually call myself an artist. Before, like, it was always, oh, you have to be able to draw, you have to be able to paint. And then when I come into these classes that more like ceramics and then portfolio development where I can show my crochet, and so many people show appreciation for it, I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I am an artist.
Hi, Andy. Andy and I took jewelry making part 1 together. So, but I think the biggest thing I've learned is to stop trying to make everything perfect, because there's beauty in imperfection. And that, I think I learned a lot of that in ceramics, actually. And I learned the beauty of like asymmetrical things and stuff not being perfect, and even like a glaze not working out, but now it's different colors, so that's just as cool. And I think learning that has relieved a lot of pressure I induce upon myself, which has been really helpful.
And I have learned that I can tackle a brand new medium and use a completely different set of tools and a whole different set of processes, and maybe, hopefully soon be successful.
That's what I found. I've taken painting classes here at Crooked Tree, at the Circle of Arts, and now I'm doing ceramics and glass, and I have all these different outlets to express myself, and I just love it. And I'm so appreciative that this town is an art town, and the gallery here, that you're supporting us so that we can show our work, and I think that's really great.
So one really big thing for me has been the value of my time and the value of my work. So one thing, I actually sat down with Anne a couple months ago now. Yeah, it does. I think it was before Christmas, but I sat down with her and figured out like pricing my work, because I was starting a business, and how do I price myself? How much should I roughly estimate for myself hourly? And it's really how much your time is worth, and what people, you might not think your work is worth that much, but people are really willing to pay for your individual style of piece and whatever medium you create.
Other questions from the audience?
Classes? Oh. So that's different depending on where you live.
Yeah.
And
I know that there are in-district prices, and then there are also out-of-district prices, and I believe, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get this wrong. Lynn knows it better. I know it's changed, so I'm not as up to date.
If I recall correctly, it's $144 per credit hour for in-district. It's $244 for out-of-district. If you are a senior member of our community and a county, you can look into taking any course at the college for zero tuition.
That was the other piece I couldn't remember. I was gonna say 160, so glad to know that I was very on track with that pricing. So, and you can find all of that at ncmc.edu. ncmich.edu is where you can go to find those prices as well. Yes.
Hey guys, I'm so glad that you did the show this year again down in the Atrium Gallery. I'm wondering if you could speak about that for some of you, maybe it's your first time exhibiting, others maybe have exhibited a lot. What did you get out of being part of that project?
Well, it's my first time exhibiting, and I find the exhibit really wonderful. And it's great to see all the other artists, not only in class. I love seeing everything else that's being done. It's pretty amazing. So it's an impressive visit.
So also a first-time exhibitor, but not the first-time attendee. The thing that always amazes me when I walk through this particular exhibit is the amount of talent that especially young kids have. And what that translated to me is how important the college is for giving those young students a target and an avenue to go to afterwards. Even if they never do it as a career or a job, but to continue to have options to explore their artistic talent.
For me, I just think I've had some drawings in here before, but never when I was at NCMC. And so I just think like I feel the most confident in my art that's here right now. And I think that's really cool.
Well, I have had, I think, one thing when I was like very young, ever in an exhibition here actually before. And so I have 3 mugs that I made in ceramics. And I think it really is a confidence boost to see your artwork being shown and that people picked you to be here. And also we're sisters, so it's really cool to see both of our stuff together in an exhibition. And yeah, it's cool to see everybody's stuff. You see your friends' stuff that they've made. And yeah, I think it's just cool.
Thank you, Crooked Tree, for allowing us to exhibit, because I certainly know that working with a group of artists is a lot like herding cats. It seriously is. So thank you for that. And thank you, instructors, for making it happen. And kind of going off what Emily said, it's really fun to see your artwork up and bringing in like friends, and you know, they might not really see what goes into it, but you bring people in like, oh, I made that, or oh, I sat next to that person that made that one. I remember watching this person. I know how much time they spent on it, and it's really cool watching everyone, people you know and people you don't know, displaying their artwork and just being really proud of it as they walk through.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Good.
We're near the end of our time, so it seems like now is the time to ask the question about what's up next. So you told us a bit about the associates program, but I'm wondering, to both faculty and students, are there, I don't know, takeaways from this semester that are leading to new projects coming up? Does anybody have anything new on the horizon you'd like to share with us today?
You start.
You can start. Yep.
So back in the end of January, I started a business called Pathway Portfolio, which is kind of an all-encompassing graphic, social media, photography kind of business that I'm working on myself. So for me this summer, I'll be doing some work with Camp Daggett, doing the photography, as well as starting to grow this business that I've started myself.
Well, I'm graduating in May. I'm going to be working as a gardener again this summer. And I think this summer I'm going to take time to figure out what I want to do in the fall. And I'm going to try to start posting more on like social media. It'll probably be something like Emily Belsky Art, where you can find it. And posting about my art and seeing what happens before the fall.
Me and Emily both, we are in portfolio development. So just taking that class, I've learned like so much about how to go farther with art. I never knew like half the stuff that's going on until this semester. So like now we have a website and now we have a physical portfolio. So just having those things makes me more comfortable for the future, that I have those things in case I ever want to use them.
So when they open up registration for the class or whatever the next semester is, I'm normally the first in line. Want to make sure I get in. I am.
That's because you're the only one who knows the date.
Because I figured out how to register online. I am expanding. I will be putting some artwork in the Boyne Art Center. And I have some things at a local boutique in Harbor Springs. So I'm looking at expanding into having it be a business. We'll see how that goes.
And I just plan to continue to take art classes. And always interested in taking a different topic, but I think, boy, after 3 semesters, I'm still a total beginner at class. I understand where I am. But there's a lot of great classes, and I think a lot of them sound very interesting.
The glass department is going to be resurrecting the stained glass course, which, because a few years ago, our stained glass instructor also had a full-time job that was taking more time than she had available to continue teaching. We will be resurrecting that course. It's called the Special Topics course. If anyone is not finding the information you need where you need it, if you go to the main classroom building, right in the center of the building in the main hallway is a large sign that says Student Services. They're there to help you out with any questions you might have enrolling in any course. And of course, for us, we are visual arts, computer arts, digital arts, but also we have literary arts. And the partnership with Crooked Tree involves culinary arts. Those courses are generally have to sign up early because they fill right up. So arts are arts. If you're creative between the two institutions, you can find an avenue to pursue.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna highlight again that tomorrow at about 1:30, actually it'll probably end up being about 2 p.m., but that is going to be when we are presenting the Associate of Applied Science in Art and Design to the Curriculum Development Committee, so be thinking of us, and it should go really well, honestly, it shouldn't be that crazy, but should that be approved, it then goes through a series of approvals, various degrees and levels, goes to our accreditation body, as long as the institution approves it. And then after that, it becomes an official degree. And so the soonest that whole process would happen would probably be fall of '24, would be when you can officially enroll in an Associate of Applied Science degree. There are the laddering up opportunities. So if you are currently enrolled in a certificate or certificate of development, it will ladder into that associate degree. So it's not like you have to wait until then to start.
So the was fortunate enough to recently acquire a extraordinary use of it. We've been classes currently running where it's literally coming in class by the end of the semester. As an offshoot of that, this fall we're planning on having a 3D modeling for print course where you'll actually learn how to create custom 3D models and load them into the printer, print them out, prep them for either just using them as is or painting them. And yeah, so.
What are some various uses for print? There are a few people who are currently in ceramics classes or glass classes.
Yep.
Who are going to be.
They're looking for stamps, right? The
Dyes.
stamps, dyes, all sorts of like cookie cutter kind of stuff. The plan for that is to take a few weeks and potentially go to those classes and say, hey, what can we as, taking the ceramic students on as quote unquote clients and say, hey, what do you want? What can we make? And then try and have the very new to modeling students actually create something for someone else based on their specifications. The modeling techniques that the students will be learning in this class are also applicable to all sorts of things like animated film, TV shows, video games, and a lot of digital advertising type of stuff too. So it's not just going to be modeling; it's all going to be very, very applicable in a wider business sense too. So.
Yeah, I'll be teaching classes in the fall, and with projects and all that stuff as the semester goes ahead, we try to keep it interesting and keep it fresh and always switching things up and throwing curveballs, and yeah, it's a good time. Hope to see you there.
Well, this year in ceramics, we have added an additional intro class because of the high demand for it. But I also want to say for the, not to outdo the advanced students, we had a great, this fall, we did a great wood firing workshop off campus. And this spring, we have a clay club that started up, which is enriching the ceramic department. We're doing field trips and inquiring about other speakers and workshops going on in the future. Next fall, I'm just planning on researching a place to do some pit firings and alternative firings for the advanced students. And looking forward to another year of adapting.
And so since Leon is not here, Leon Nash, he does a lot of the metal and does some blacksmithing. And I believe in the fall, he's going to be teaching a special topics in blacksmithing. And the reason why Lynn and now me and even Kermit have said special topics is because when you're looking for the courses, it will in fact say special topics and then give the title of what it is. So if you're looking and you're like, where's stained glass? You're gonna need to look special topics, stained glass, and that'll be how you can find it. So blacksmithing is something that Leon's offered a few times, and I believe he's offering again in the fall. So if that is of interest to you. Any final questions or comments from anyone? You'll be able to corner all of the students when we go and have coffee and pastries, so you can talk to them there. But thank you everybody for attending. I'm gonna pass it over to Liz for the formal appreciation. So, but thank you everybody.
Thanks, Anne, and thanks to all the faculty and students for joining us today. It's exciting to see how much is going on there. And a little plug for stained glass. I gotta say, we get calls for stained glass artists like a lot. So if you're thinking about maybe an avenue that isn't being filled here in the community, that's a nice little tip there. So let me go ahead and thank our guests today for coming. We do not have a copy attendance next week, but we do the following week, and that is going to be with our school ballet. So another Rowdy will be here to talk about the programming that they've been working on as of late. And then the following week will be another panel conversation with arts organizations in the area. So we'll have representatives from the Charlotte Circle and Women's Collective, and just talk about ways that we're reaching the community through those kinds of programs as well. So we'll hope to see you either in person or online, and enjoy the rest of the coffee and pastries. Thanks so much, you guys.